In the commanding world of the Trump dynasty, loyalty reigns supreme. Business is indistinguishable from family, and family is tightly woven into business. There's no middle ground. If you're not fully immersed, you're essentially invisible. Within this powerful empire, Tiffany Trump has long stood as an enigma, a quietly sidelined figure in the otherwise thunderous orbit of her family. She hasn't brokered major business ventures, pursued political ambitions, or stirred headlines with scandal. Her presence in the Trump lineage seems marked more by her surname than by her actions. She's tethered to one of the most talked-about families on the planet, yet remains curiously distanced from its core. Some insiders speculate she was never wholeheartedly embraced. Others suggest she never had the desire to be. Now, as she embarks on married life with billionaire Michael Bullis and grows increasingly detached from the Trump identity, an unresolved question lingers: is this Tiffany's final, definitive break from the family? Has she chosen to exit on her own terms, or was she systematically edged out? And more pressing still, could this be the end of her public connection to the Trumps? As the layers are peeled away, an astonishing story begins to emerge: the narrative of the forgotten Trump. Tiffany Trump. The name is immediately familiar, yet her presence within the Trump family often feels like a whisper amid the shouting. While Ivanka, Don Jr., and Eric have taken center stage in the family's business empires and political crusades, Tiffany lingers on the sidelines, almost imperceptibly. Her role in the dynasty is described by some as peripheral. She's technically part of the picture, but always seems a step removed. But why is that? Is her distance a conscious choice, or the outcome of her circumstances, or perhaps both? And now, as talk intensifies around her retreat from the spotlight, the world is left wondering, is she truly departing for good? Tiffany's public image diverges sharply from her siblings. Ivanka is celebrated as a business powerhouse, a fashion icon, and a trusted advisor to her father, often referred to as his right-hand woman. Don Jr. and Eric, on the other hand, are deeply entrenched in the family business and have emerged as vocal champions of the Trump legacy. Tiffany, meanwhile, has forged a more subtle path. She resembles the guest who attended the party but left so quietly, most didn't realize she was there. Take the 2020 presidential re-election campaign. Ivanka was running point, Don Jr. was riling up the base, and Eric was, well, doing his usual bit. Tiffany, by contrast, barely made a ripple. This wasn't new. She had been absent from her father's 2016 transition team, while her siblings played pivotal roles. Moments like these suggest a recurring theme of exclusion. Then there are the candid public comments from Donald Trump himself, like the time he confessed he was proud of Tiffany, to a lesser extent than his other children. If the Trump family dynamic were a reality TV show, Tiffany would be the misunderstood underdog who rarely makes the final cut. Her relationship with her father has always appeared more nuanced than that of her siblings. Tiffany is quieter, more introspective, a Trump, yes, but seemingly reluctant to wear the name like armor. Her energies have been invested in law, fashion, and entertainment, industries far removed from her family's trademark blend of politics and corporate dominance. This divergence has earned her the unofficial title of the red-haired stepchild of the family, though she doesn't have red hair. It's simply a metaphor to capture her outsider status, one that she seems to have accepted with grace rather than resentment. So, what has kept Tiffany from fully integrating into the Trump fold? Is it that she was never offered the same platforms as Ivanka, Don Jr., or Eric? Or is it something deeper, something more intimate? Perhaps she's simply uninterested in playing by the family's high-stakes rules. As whispers persist about her possible withdrawal from the public stage, one truth remains: Tiffany will always be a Trump, even if she opts to chart her own course far from the dynasty's spotlight. Whether viewed as the forgotten Trump or as a free spirit following her own rhythm, Tiffany's path reminds us that even in the most high-profile families, there's room for quiet resilience, and perhaps a bit of mystery. And really, if being forgotten means escaping the chaos that often surrounds her last name, maybe Tiffany is the one who's figured it out best. When the Trump family is mentioned, it conjures visions of gold-drenched penthouses, corporate face-offs, and carefully curated public displays. Yet Tiffany Trump's experience has always been set apart. As Donald Trump's youngest daughter, she didn't grow up within the glossy confines of Trump Tower, nor was she shaped to inherit the family business legacy. Her childhood was lived in another world, both emotionally and geographically distant. The root of that separation lies in her parentage. Tiffany is the only child from Donald Trump's brief and widely publicized marriage to Marla Maples, a relationship marked by media frenzy and a swift divorce. After the split, Marla moved to California with Tiffany, raising her far from the gravitational force of Trump real estate and East Coast influence. While her older siblings were mastering boardroom banter and corporate chess moves, Tiffany was navigating private schools in the California sunshine, playing sports, and immersing herself in creative pursuits. Her life was more Malibu meets mindfulness than Wall Street warfare. Marla raised her with an emphasis on balance and independence. Some view this as a lucky escape from a demanding legacy. Others see it as a missed seat at the Trump table. But was this divergence a conscious choice? Did Donald Trump quietly label her an outsider from the outset? Or did Marla simply want to protect her daughter from the intensity of Trump family theatrics? The answer remains elusive. What's certain is that Tiffany never received the same warm welcome into the fold as her siblings did. That said, she wasn't entirely disconnected from her father. They kept in touch during holidays and family functions, though his involvement in her daily upbringing was limited. In interviews, Tiffany has painted her father as an entertaining and encouraging figure, offering advice like, "Do well in school." Not exactly profound, but better than radio silence. As Donald Trump's political career took off, the nature of their relationship appeared to shift, or at least, it took on a more performative dimension. Tiffany began appearing at campaign events and even spoke at conventions. But the question loomed, were these public moments genuine attempts at bonding, or strategic optics to reinforce family unity? Tiffany may have spent her youth far removed from the spotlight cast by her father's empire, but adulthood has seen her try, at times, to reconnect and step into the Trump sphere, though always on her own terms. Tiffany Trump has often been seen publicly celebrating her father, portraying him as a kind and encouraging presence in her life. A telling moment came in a 2020 Instagram post, where she effusively expressed gratitude, saying, "Thank you for your constant love, guidance, and for always believing in me." It's heartwarming, no doubt, but like a Hallmark card that feels a bit too polished, there are subtle indicators that their bond might not be as idyllic as she presents. According to Dr. Sanam Hafiz, a neuropsychologist who shared exclusive observations with Nicki Swift, Tiffany's loyalty may be influenced by more than simple familial affection. Hafiz points to a blend of family allegiance, cultural pressures, and personal ambition as potential factors driving Tiffany's closeness to Donald. It's important to remember that Donald Trump didn't play a significant role in Tiffany's upbringing until 2016, when she started appearing alongside him during his presidential campaign. Even then, their relationship felt more like it was under construction rather than a heartfelt reunion. Hafiz theorizes that Tiffany may deeply yearn for a stronger bond with her father, a goal that's easier imagined than achieved, especially when your parent is one of the most divisive public figures in contemporary America. If her efforts to build that connection initially showed promise, they didn't quite stand the test of time. They always had a strained relationship her whole life, and it got exacerbated by the presidency, shared one insider. Politics has a unique way of complicating familial ties, and for Tiffany and Donald, things only got more awkward. In 2019, an especially unflattering allegation surfaced when Madeleine Westerhout, Donald's former personal assistant, claimed he avoided taking photos with Tiffany due to concerns about her weight. Trump quickly dismissed the rumor, stating, "I love Tiffany," but by then, the speculation had already gained traction. Whether or not the story holds any truth, it cast further doubt on the nature of their relationship. Another eyebrow-raising moment occurred on Tiffany's 26th birthday. Rather than offering a public celebration, Donald instead used his platform that day to wish the U.S. Navy a happy birthday, while Tiffany's special day passed without acknowledgement. To make matters more glaring, Trump has publicly celebrated Ivanka, Eric, and Don Jr.'s birthdays online with heartfelt messages. Was this omission just an oversight, a subtle message, or merely a reflection of Trump's unpredictable social media habits? Regardless, it left many wondering, and likely left Tiffany with mixed emotions. Then there was the transition team event in 2016, following Donald's election win. A group of approximately 100 advisors was assembled to help suggest federal job candidates, yet Tiffany was notably excluded, making her the only adult Trump child left out. Granted, she was only 22 at the time, finishing her studies at the University of Pennsylvania and preparing to attend Georgetown Law. Perhaps politics just wasn't her focus yet. So maybe, just maybe, we can give Trump a pass on that one, or maybe not. In 2018, during an infrastructure speech in Ohio, Donald introduced his daughters by saying, "Speaking of a job well done, we have two of my daughters here today. Ivanka, who is working hard on infrastructure. Ivanka, and Tiffany." Wait, did he really mention Ivanka twice before casually adding Tiffany's name as an afterthought? While this could have simply been a public speaking slip-up, it came off as another moment where Tiffany seemed to play third string to her siblings. All of this begs the question, are these simply overanalyzed moments inflated by tabloids and internet speculation, or do they hint at a deeper disconnect between Tiffany and her father? The truth likely exists somewhere in between. While Tiffany has gone out of her way to showcase affection and harmony, some of her choices raise questions. So, is she quietly rebelling, or is she simply misunderstood? Tiffany has always carried an air of mystery, wrapped in high fashion and subtle contradictions. Whether it's her understated presence within the Trump dynasty or her unique wardrobe choices, she keeps people guessing. A prime example was her June 2019 trip to the United Kingdom, where she accompanied her family on a state visit to Buckingham Palace. Though the visit sparked political discussions, it was Tiffany's attire that caught the spotlight, albeit for the wrong reasons. Critics likened her formal gown to something out of a Jane Austen novel, labeling it as old-timey, and questioning whether she was trying to stand out or simply overreaching. Was it a deliberate nod to individuality, or just a harmless fashion misfire? Either way, it had people wondering if her wardrobe is part of a broader attempt to distinguish herself from her more prominent family members. And if that outfit stirred confusion, her fashion statement during a September 2016 presidential debate took things up a notch. As Donald Trump harshly criticized China for economic issues, Tiffany showed up in a dress by Chinese designer Wang Tao, better known as Taorui Wang. The irony didn't go unnoticed, Trump railing against China while his daughter sported Chinese couture? Was it a defiant act or just an unfortunate coincidence? Some speculated it was a subtle message, others thought she simply admired the designer. Still, the most fascinating theory is that Tiffany might have been quietly seeking attention. Despite being the daughter of one of America's most influential men, Tiffany has often seemed like an observer at the edge of the Trump spotlight. She's attended major events and family functions, yet there's an undeniable sense that she's there in body, but not in spirit. Unlike Ivanka, who was handed central roles in both Trump's business and political worlds, Tiffany was never given such opportunities. No major projects, no advisory titles, just a quiet, background presence. Some interpret this as a deliberate choice by Donald to keep her at a distance. Others whisper that Ivanka may have influenced Tiffany's sidelining, ensuring the spotlight stayed on her. In every dynasty, after all, there's a golden child, and a shadow. Growing up apart from her siblings, Tiffany was raised in California by Marla Maples, separated from the high-octane New York lifestyle of the rest of the Trump children. This physical separation might have planted early emotional divides, contributing to an underlying strain. Some chalk this up to media dramatization, while others suggest real jealousy and tension may exist. As the Trump family dynamic unfolds, it becomes clear that Tiffany's role is complicated, and her relationships may be fraught with unspoken conflict. The Trump name evokes wealth, television drama, and ceaseless headlines. But behind the glitz lies a family web tangled with complexities, and at its center is Tiffany, the only daughter from Donald's marriage to Marla Maples. While her siblings reveled in the spotlight of Trump Tower and high society, Tiffany grew up under California's sun, far removed from her family's usual orbit. According to insiders, her connection with her father cooled significantly after he entered the White House. Reports suggest long gaps between communication, leading to awkward family gatherings strained by public life's demands. When even Thanksgiving can't thaw the atmosphere, you know there's a deeper issue. And Tiffany's dynamic with Ivanka, Don Jr., and Eric? Also layered with complexity. Being raised on the opposite coast may have sown seeds of detachment early on. As the siblings matured, this geographic split reportedly morphed into emotional distance, especially as topics like family inheritance entered the mix. While money doesn't guarantee happiness, it certainly stirs up drama. Tensions may also be exacerbated by Tiffany's relatively liberal views, which reportedly contrast with the staunch conservatism of her father and half-siblings. Her advocacy for women's rights has allegedly stirred debates at family events. Just picture a feminist argument playing out over cranberry sauce, certainly not your typical holiday gathering. And, of course, what Trump family story would be complete without whispers of rivalry? Rumors of friction between Tiffany and Ivanka have circulated for years, with Ivanka often portrayed as the favored child while Tiffany has been dubbed the forgotten Trump. Ivanka, however, has denied such claims, publicly asserting her love and closeness with Tiffany. She's even taken on the role of mentor, advising her younger sister on everything from relationships to mastering Instagram. In her book, The Trump Card, Playing to Win in Work and Life, Ivanka shared a telling anecdote involving Tiffany's teenage years and a Christmas surprise. According to the story, Tiffany needed financial assistance, and Ivanka stepped in to persuade Donald to gift her a credit card. While Tiffany was thrilled by the gesture, she had no idea the gift was prompted by Ivanka's encouragement rather than her father's spontaneity. She would have enjoyed the same privileges if she'd lived under our father's roof, Ivanka noted, subtly emphasizing that in the Trump household, proximity comes with perks. Does this anecdote soften the public's perception of their strained relationship, or is it merely a strategic PR maneuver to tidy up the family narrative? The verdict is still out. No examination of the Trump family would be complete without diving into its most outrageous rumors. With a family that's been under more scrutiny than a high school science experiment, it's no surprise that wild theories abound. One of the most provocative? The question of whether Tiffany is actually Donald Trump's biological daughter. Let's be clear, conspiracy theories are like fast food for the mind, enticing, but rarely nutritious. Still, the speculation surrounding Tiffany is too bizarre for some to ignore. The theory starts with appearances. Ivanka, Don Jr., and Eric share clear physical traits with Donald: sharp features, confident postures, and hair that seems to defy natural laws. Tiffany, by contrast, has a softer look, a laid-back Californian aura, and a manner that seems to sidestep the usual Trump theatrics. She doesn't look like them. Is she really his? It's the kind of sensationalist whisper that tabloids thrive on. Naturally, genetics don't follow a strict blueprint, siblings don't always resemble each other. Yet for conspiracy enthusiasts, Tiffany's distinctive looks are enough to trigger suspicion, or perhaps even double takes. What intensifies these whispers is her unconventional upbringing. Unlike her half-siblings, who were groomed from day one to embody the Trump brand, Tiffany was raised at a distance from the gleaming world of skyscrapers and TV cameras that define the Trump empire. This separation has led to provocative questions. Was Tiffany kept at arm's length because Donald never truly accepted her as his own? Or, more drastically, is she not biologically his at all? The theory gains even more steam when people start scrutinizing the timing of Donald's split with Marla Maples. Could doubts about Tiffany's paternity have influenced their breakup? And then there's another talking point that conspiracy theorists eagerly latch onto: Tiffany's peripheral role in all things Trump. While Ivanka is out there selling handbags and holding meetings with world leaders, Tiffany isn't exactly front and center at Trump Organization gatherings. Her social media feeds don't exactly scream CEO in training either. Some speculate that this exclusion is no accident, that Tiffany was intentionally left out of the inner circle because she's not really a Trump. Of course, this idea conveniently ignores the possibility that she might just not want a starring role in the family empire. Perhaps Tiffany's simply more inclined to march to the beat of her own drum, a breath of fresh air in a world where family connections are often leveraged like stock portfolios. Despite a complete absence of concrete proof, and let's be honest, there's absolutely none, these juicy rumors continue to thrive. Why? Because they're irresistibly dramatic. People are naturally drawn to scandal, especially when it involves the rich and powerful. And Tiffany's seemingly deliberate step back from the core Trump brand only serves to keep the rumor mill churning. Recent reports suggest that Tiffany may be distancing herself from the family for good. Unsurprisingly, this has reignited speculation. Is she exhausted from seeking validation? Or has she simply had enough of the theatrics? Either way, you've got to respect her for carving out a life of her own, one far from the camera flashes and branded baseball caps that define her lineage. When Tiffany Trump walked down the aisle with billionaire heir Michael Bullis, it made people do a double take. Was this the conclusion of her complex saga with the Trump dynasty, or just a new chapter in the ever-evolving family drama? Most Trump weddings are high-wattage events packed with political titans and business magnates, but Tiffany's ceremony had a notably different tone. Yes, it took place at Mar-a-Lago, because, where else would it, but the overall ambience? Let's just say it lacked the usual Trumpian extravagance. To begin with, the guest list leaned more toward intimate gathering than national gala. The typical Trump flair was toned down, as if everyone silently agreed to keep it more personal. And Tiffany herself? She was radiant, undoubtedly, but there was something in her demeanor that hinted at quiet calculation, as if she was subtly mapping out her next steps. The rumors quickly took flight. Was this Tiffany's way of stepping out from under her father's colossal shadow? Michael Bullis isn't just any suitor, he hails from an influential Lebanese-Nigerian lineage. In other words, Tiffany didn't exactly marry beneath her. Some observers began to wonder whether this match was less about romantic destiny and more about laying the groundwork for a life that didn't revolve around Trump headlines. Could this have been her great escape? Michael's family fortune doesn't come with the reality TV baggage or political chaos that follows the Trump name like a cloud. If Tiffany was aiming to build a future away from the turbulence of Trump Tower and campaign rallies, then she couldn't have made a more strategic choice. And let's not overlook the timing. With Donald Trump embroiled in legal drama and navigating political uncertainty during that period, Tiffany's marriage could very well have been a carefully timed move. By aligning herself with the Bullis name, she might be signaling a full departure from the Trump narrative. Call it a rebranding, one that's as elegant as it is deliberate. Of course, it's all speculation. Maybe Tiffany and Michael are just two people in love who wanted to celebrate their union at a venue that felt like home. Because again, where else but Mar-a-Lago? As the public continues to obsess over the Trump family dynamics, one thing seems increasingly clear: Tiffany Trump appears to be gracefully detaching herself from the golden grip of her famous surname. While her half-siblings remain embedded in the Trump brand, be it boardroom clashes or campaign trails, Tiffany has charted a very different course, one that whispers independence rather than proclaims loyalty. Is this the final farewell? Truth be told, Tiffany has never been the most boisterous Trump. She doesn't manage high-rise deals like Eric or Donald Jr., nor does she chase political power like Ivanka. Instead, she's embraced a quieter path, retreating from public view with the poise of someone who knows what they want, or at least what they want to avoid. Her marriage to Michael Bullis, a businessman with roots in Nigeria and Lebanon, adds to the sense of finality. Their union seems like a conscious move away from the Trump dynasty, more of a global fusion than a brand extension. If anything, it's a declaration that Tiffany intends to define her life on her own terms, far from the looming shadow of Trump Tower. Yet, don't mistake Tiffany's withdrawal as a rebellious exit. She hasn't slammed any doors or made public denunciations. Rather, she's taken a more understated approach, quietly redrawing her place within the Trump orbit without lighting any bridges on fire. Think of it as leaving Thanksgiving early but still sending a thank you text. Interestingly enough, her siblings seem to support her decision. Ivanka, always the poised big sister, is said to have offered advice as Tiffany navigates her new life, balancing marriage, career pursuits, and personal evolution. At key moments, Tiffany remains present, proving that distance doesn't necessarily mean disconnection. Just because she's absent from boardroom meetings and campaign rallies doesn't mean she's been cast aside. Sources suggest she remains a trusted figure in pivotal moments, someone who doesn't need a title or a press release to be considered part of the inner circle. It's a more subtle version of loyalty, one that feels real, not rehearsed. Her relationship with Bullis has opened new doors, expanding her social reach beyond the confines of the Trump brand. It's almost as if she's gently saying, "Thanks for the legacy, but I've got my own journey now." And honestly, that's pretty admirable. Still, questions linger: will Tiffany ever return to the Trump orbit in a significant way? Or has she truly said goodbye forever? Maybe we're asking the wrong thing altogether. Instead of wondering if she'll come back, perhaps we should be asking if she even wants or needs to. There's plenty of space in the world for Trumps in power suits and Trumps in sundresses soaking in sunrays abroad. If she ever makes her way back into the fold, you can be sure it'll be on her terms, not out of obligation. So whether this moment marks goodbye forever or just a see you soon, one thing is clear: Tiffany Trump is no longer letting her surname steer the wheel. And if you were in her shoes, what would you choose? Would you rejoin the family fold and embrace the Trump legacy? Or continue forging your own direction, free of all expectations? It's a question worth considering, and one Tiffany seems to be answering with every step she takes. Thanks for watching, fam. If this video resonated with you, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And before you go, make sure to check out the next video waiting on your screen.